Are you starting?
Yeah, it's recording. Okay, let's start. What's up, guys? We had an epic fail because we recorded 30 minutes of podcast and then it went up in the air because OBS crashed. So, yeah, that happened.
My God, this is back into the acid cast days, right? Just the moment the trio comes together, you have to be. It just has something has to give. We've just
Whatever.
been going through a lot of production issues today.
Anyway, let's because of that, because we lost 30 minutes of production, like whatever we recorded, we have to do the intro again. So, what's up, guys? Hello, internet. Welcome back. Joining me again is Udit. You know him. Joining me again is we're not doing a longer introduction of this. and
We
and
have a resurrection arc with Bawalbaba.
yeah, and we have Bawalbaba back in the podcast. He's alive. That's it, I guess.
He's alive. The podcast is.
Yeah, the podcast is done. So to give you guys an idea of whatever happened, and fill you guys in, we discussed for 30 minutes about Prince of Persia remake and stuff and Ubisoft, and yeah, that all got cut because OBS crashed.
I'm pretty sure US Game Out saw us shit talking Ubisoft and it's like, you know what, fuck you guys.
And the thing is, we'll still discuss about it, but we'll keep it at the
Yeah, of
end.
course.
We will discuss about other things in the beginning because we don't want to go back to the topic again in the beginning. I think that will be just weird. Just discussing everything. We'll also keep it much shorter and keep it give our opinions because I think it's even though we lost the top like the last 30 seconds, 30 minutes. I think it's pretty clear to me, Udit, and Bawalbaba what each of us thinks about the
Yeah,
entire topic. So we practiced it, yeah. So yeah, that.
I love the amount of rationalization we're doing over the
Yeah, it's like justification for losing the last.
Maybe we should do this every podcast, like, you know, practice it for like an hour, then finish
No.
the podcast in 10 minutes or something.
This is like justification for losing the last 30 minutes of because OBS crashed, so I can't do anything. Completely my bad though, I guess. I have to be very careful about how I use OBS and Discord and not touch Discord. My mistake was touching Discord. I have to not touch Discord. Yeah, lessons learned. Yeah, let's move on to the first topic, I guess. Udit, what's the first topic? I'm not keeping
I
track.
think it is the. Let's start with the follow up on the previous topic, which we were covering for quite a while, which is the PUBG issue with the ban and everything.
Yeah,
Right?
this is a small topic because I don't know. Like, this is a small update. Basically, Activision has said, yeah, Tencent is not publishing in India anymore. PUBG, we're taking it back. So it might come back, and PUBG is banned, but it's not blocked technically because everyone can still play
In the
it.
Play Store in few areas, right?
It's not available in Play Store, but everyone can still play it. If you have it on your phone, it's still accessible. People are still playing it. People are still streaming it also, and there's millions of people watching it as well. So it's not like
So much for that.
it's not like a closed thing. It's very open out there. It's like not even a open secret. It's not a secret. Everyone knows that PUBG is still available. But if you haven't downloaded PUBG yet, tough luck basically, or
No,
download the
I
APK.
think Joel downloaded it recently. He downloaded it from a from their website or something. I don't know. He
Yeah.
didn't download it from Play Store.
You can download it the APK if you want
Acha.
and
That
just
makes sense.
installed it.
Did Joel do it to prove a point or something? Like, hey, we can still
Joel
play.
does everything to prove a point. There's a.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what is this? No, we love you, Joel. Maybe. So, what happened was, Aman, this reminds me that even when it comes to being a tyrannical force, a system still disappoints.
See. This is the same thing with the porn website blogs and stuff, right? I think everyone who watches porn, which is most of India, I guess, because we are one of the highest people. We are the highest. There's like some of the the most traffic. We give the most traffic to porn website in the entire world. It's
Not
a
even the
fact.
most traffic, it's the most fucked up traffic as well because
No,
people in
no.
India watch
Fucked up
more
traffic
porn
is
than-
everywhere. But let's not go there. The thing is, everyone in India watches porn. We watch it in the parliament, we watch it in office, we watch it everywhere. Right. The thing is, people who watch it know that it's supposed to be blocked in India, but if you can just press HTTPS at the S
Yeah,
and that's
that's
sorted, right?
see that works for Pirate Bay as well. Don't
Yeah.
arrest me, government. Don't you dare. But
So,
like yeah,
I mean,
you
this
put
is just
Pirate Bay-
information. This is just discussing information. It's fact,
We
right?
don't
We,
endorse
Facts,
piracy,
yeah.
guys.
we are not endorsing it. Don't watch porn, guys. Don't download torrents. Don't watch porn. Bad, horrible things. Uh, God is watching you, as they
Yeah,
say.
we also don't
Yeah,
smoke up.
yeah.
Yeah, fuck
This
it,
is
you're a dude, like-
Bongshot
but
is
anyway.
because we are all bongs here. Udit is like half bong.
What is this? Is he Bengali by association with us? Like
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like
He's been with us enough, like long enough
I guess.
to be called a bong at this point.
I mean, what do you call gentrified or what?
Anyway,
if certain people could hear this conversation, like most would be like, "What the is going on?"
no. I
But,
think
yeah.
most people will relate, if anything. You can either hate a bong or get along with him. Like, there's no middle ground. Right? Yeah.
can't argue
We're
with that.
talking about Bengalis for anyone who is confused. Anyway.
I imagine if this one guy from Australia or America watches this. Like, what the hell are these guys talking?
What you mean by?
Uh,
What do you mean you
Don't-
born by association?
Anyway, yeah, that's about PUBG. Like, blocked, but not technically.
Done.
Yeah,
Gone,
it's
but not entirely.
it's like, yeah, that's about it. Like,
But
yeah,
it's an interesting thing where a developer, I don't know who did, but they were willing to pull the Tencent from being the publisher in a particular country and still go forward with being the official, while finding another publisher for a specific country, kind of goes to show the pull that the country has with the game.
Yeah.
of course. Of course, because like we discussed in the last podcast, right? Someone like the richest person in China became the second richest person because he thought his Tencent lost $36 billion in I think more than that after the PUBG ban in India, because PUBG was still like, even though PUBG did not make a lot of money, it was making what, some millions only per month in India, which is, it's a lot, but it's not a lot by international standards of what similar games are making internationally, right? But the soft power of that information, of that user base, and that people talking about PUBG, that was still a big thing, right? And that entirely went away. Even though, like we discussed, PUBG is banned, but not technically. There's just because and there's a lot of people who believe, nationalism and all that, which is good, which is not bad. Like we discussed, there's a good reason to PUBG ban as well. It's not just bad. It's not just a political move to stray. It's not a distraction, is what I mean to say. It's like genuine reasoning. There's a lot of information going in through PUBG, so there's a lot of reason for people to not play PUBG because of that information, right? And the government said so. So there's that whole authority says so, I should do thing going on. So yeah, because of that, PUBG lost a lot of crowd. Call of Duty and Free Fire have obviously gone a lot big in India, like download wise. There was an article about that. So yeah, that's about it. But yeah, it might come back because Activision has taken out Tencent as the publisher in India. That it shows that Activision still owns the, not Activision. What am I saying?
Blue Hole,
Blue Hole. My bad.
confused why you were bringing Activision.
PUBG.
Yeah.
I was mixing Call of Duty and
Right.
because Call of Duty also Activision took out Tencent from Call of Duty app, right? Blue Hole also basically said, PUBG Corporation said, Tencent is not gonna publish. They put out an entire blog article and stuff like that. So interesting. Let's see what happens. I did not expect that. I thought Tencent entirely controlled the mobile stuff, but apparently not. Apparently Blue Hole still has a huge pull around that game.
I
So
was
very
saying it was
interesting.
probably a kamikaze attack, but maybe not really.
I
Actually,
mean,
Yeah.
I think Tencent itself knows that it's a business decision for Tencent itself. Like,
I wonder what's gonna happen, because the thing is, for people who do not follow global politics, they might not know this very simple fact. There's a lot of billionaires in China who are willing to leave China and take up and move their companies simply because of the global ties that China is happening. And China is also trying their best to make sure that they keep them by giving them incentives and other things, of course,
Japan
right?
has been pulling their business a lot.
Japan has been pulling, a lot of people have been pulling their businesses from away from China, but Chinese billionaires themselves have been pulling, and
Right.
that's not something you want to happen. You don't want your people who have built entire infrastructures and companies around your country
Hmm.
moving or slowly shifting their business away, right?
Hmm.
That's obviously not good. Like, you want the core base to still be in your country so that you make the most revenue, taxes, and all that. So yeah, interesting where that goes. But I think that's it for PUBG. It's not very.
this is the first time that global politics has directly influenced a game in such a way
Hmm.
that
No,
we're seeing such
no,
a huge shift. I mean, have you? I mean, yeah, of course it has happened before, but to this degree,
no. Yeah,
to this
I
degree in the
agree.
sense because PUBG
Yeah,
is huge.
my
Like
parents
PUBG.
were talking about it, like on the call today, right? Where they're talking about this, the app being removed and stuff like that, and what's happening in gaming sphere. So it's for the first time where this has bled into the market, where it's not where the discussion around games is not about it being violent.
Yeah.
Has a different discussion to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my parents and they were like, "Yeah, this is good that PUBG is being removed." I'm like, "But what is your reasoning?" Like, I want to. I actually talked to my parents about the reasoning why they think that removing PUBG is a good thing, and they're like, "Well, first of all, China, and second of all, because it will reduce the violence." I'm like, to the general populace,
Yeah.
the reasoning for the removal of PUBG ban is still kind of not up to the mark or not even on the mark by a wide but
I think that's commonplace in most issues.
And never getting
yeah,
past it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. But what I want to mention is, like you said, geopolitics hasn't ever taken a shape in this game. But PUBG is a big phenomenon, to the point that,
yeah.
I want to mention. Today, my mate came in and she was like, Aman, sir, he calls me Dada, okay. So he's like, Dada, he's like, are all games made in China? And like, why are you asking that? Because PUBG got banned, like, I'm asking. Really? Very information, interesting stuff. Because she never talks to me. She's my mate. She doesn't talk to me about games. She knows about PUBG. She knows about the specific title of the game, you know. It's very interesting. So, yeah, that's where the topic has gone, I guess. Um, interesting stuff. Yeah.
Like yeah. Also, since we are talking about Tencent, my mic is my is the
Arnab has frozen, and I
Yeah.
yeah. I am not sleeping by the way for whatever reason.
Arnab has frozen.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you should touch Discord. Aman, how are you gonna fix that?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
he has
My
to touch Discord. He has to turn on and off camera.
Okay, so we can there it is.
I have no idea
Wow.
what is happening, but anyway, as I was talking, speaking of Tencent, I don't think Tencent has lost anything or at all because I don't know if you guys know this because Tencent has been acquiring even more games. Like for example, this one is pretty close to my chest personally because uh, Tencent has acquired Warframe, and
Oh, shit.
that's yeah, that's a big thing because Warframe was kind of a passion project of a couple of developers when they
Hmm.
started out. Like
But
people
Tencent,
still,
Tencent is a huge for people who don't know. I guess people might not know because Tencent has been in the background for a lot of games for a long time, like specifically Riot Games, um, whom they
yeah,
entirely own. Tencent is one of the biggest publishers in the world, and they are a publisher from China, and they control so many titles. They have stake in a lot of places. They have control a lot of titles, so they're not a small force to begin with. There's a
They are
reason
like
why.
they extend beyond games also.
Yeah, yeah, they
Like
extend beyond games. They're a huge company. People don't realize it
they're like the
until the.
Reliance of
Yeah,
China.
yeah. In a lot of ways, they're similar to Reliance because they have their hands in a lot of things, and specifically in games,
yeah,
they have their stakes in a lot of places. So Tencent is not going away anytime soon. But they might because the fact that the richest man became the second richest is still big deal. $36 billion still big deal. $36 billion in a span of 3-4 days. In fact, I don't know if that was more. I guess that would be more.
That's a
Um,
huge hit.
yeah, it's still big. Like lots of money. Come on.
I mean,
Um,
that's the thing. For them, any money loss is money loss. It doesn't
yeah,
mean.
Yeah, it doesn't
and this
matter
is
how much.
huge money loss. It's not small money loss.
Yeah.
There was a lot of news around the fact that Tencent, and this was just a few months back, where the Tencent CEO became the richest man in China and took over Jack Ma from Alibaba, right? So yeah, whatever. I want to get over this. What's the next topic?
Well, I think we should talk about who made the first move between Xbox and PlayStation. Um, well,
Oh,
you know
Xbox
what?
Series X. S.
Yeah, Xbox Series X, and we also got the price
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the thing. At this point, let me, to make a disclosure, they sound Xbox and Microsoft and Sony sound less like competitors and more like a couple with ego issues. Microsoft is like, should I text? Should I send the first message? Should I be the one? Sony there's like, no. Why should I be the one to text? Why? I'm the hot shit. Let them do that. And everybody around is like, get this shit out here. We have to sell these machines in 2 months, right? So, well, Microsoft was the one to make the first move. The prices sound good if you're not in India. Maybe. So, along with the Xbox X, we also have the Series S, which is a lower easier entry point, and they are priced at. I think the Xbox Series X is priced at $499. Series S, which is harkening back to the console pricing of your days, where of PS2 and Xbox days, $299. It's a scaled down version of Xbox Series X, and it's basically probably will be performing games at 1080p, not a huge gap.
It's
What
also a bit less powerful in terms of graphical computing from the
Right,
Xbox One X Pro or
right.
whatever.
That's a weird scaling, right?
Yeah,
Xbox One X is as powerful as a completely new console, actually.
but Xbox One X does not have the SSDs and all that thing, right?
Right.
And the CPU.
So the core features that make the next gen of Xbox as
And
such a
PS
valuable thing
is
is
the
still
SSD.
present in the Series S.
Hmm.
It's more like an entry point. It again harkens back to the thing I've been talking about, Microsoft's strategy, right? They are lesser about gens and more about bringing a computer to your household through which they will sell you Game Pass. Now that's another update they made. They Xbox doubled the price of Game Pass on
Yeah.
PC, right?
Hmm.
Surprising. I don't know why it surprised anybody, but yeah. So
It was too
basically,
cheap. It was 50 rupees. How is that
right.
surprising? Like 50 rupees for 1 month. That is insane value.
Right.
Like 100, 200 games for 50 rupees. Yeah.
So that's the thing. They're going with that strategy and they want to lure people into Game Pass, which I do believe will get a price hike eventually through down the line. And that's their move. It's a very smart.
I think it's already announced the price hike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been doubled. But again,
I
it's been
think it's only
doubled
for
from.
PC, right?
No. It's
Oh, it's complete.
for
Yeah.
overall, but it's also there's regional pricing involved. It's not a full thing, but it's still cheap, guys. It's like what for $10 I think right now in US or something instead of $5.
Right.
Still cheap. Come on.
No, I expect this to slowly increase over the time. I still think it's going to be a great value.
Yeah, I
For
still think depending on how many games they add, I expect it to go anywhere between $10 to $30 a month, right?
So yeah, bottom
Uh,
line is it's a great Xbox Series S is a great entry thing for a. Here's why this is a great thing. $299 outside India is a great pricing for, especially considering how costly things are getting. And if a guy just wants to get something for his kid, right? Whether he has a PC or whether even if he has a PS5, right? $299 on sale, even much cheaper. Just the ability to play next gen games, right? Will add another level of consumer group to them. How it works in India is a little different if you look at the price range, though. Are you aware of the prices in India?
Yeah. 2.9, right? For its first one.
Xbox Series X is at 50,000 and
Yeah.
Xbox Series S is at 35,000.
35K, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the unexpected rate. I was expecting it to be 29K, which would have been
Right.
still fine. But people were expecting it to be something around the original pricing, which is 25K, which I was like unlikely to happen. But 35K doesn't make sense. Whereas the Xbox Series X is priced pretty conveniently at how it should be priced. It's almost as exactly that. And 50K, you're getting a fully next gen PC counterpart. That's great. You can't get that powerful of a PC for 50K. I'm straight out telling you, if you have a good TV at home and if you want to play games immediately at the cheapest value, getting an Xbox Series X and getting the Xbox Pass is one of the best valuable things you can get. Easily, it's like one of the easiest things you can get to start playing games. You get a lot of multiplayer games. You have the Xbox controller, which is great. You have all the Xbox features, next gen, blah blah. Great. It would be great if Microsoft adds their first party games also eventually. But yeah, it's already a great value. It's not bad. It's at least easier than I guess something like PS, where you have to buy. We don't know. We are guessing it will be something around 50 to 60K range. I guess. I think it will be expensive, and I think Sony can afford it because they can. They won last gen.
Here's what I think was gonna happen, right? Sony saw this announcement, and Sony all of a sudden were like, so these guys have made a move. All right, people, Wednesday, we have a showcase. Get ready for a price, right? They're gonna show the UI, whatever. They're gonna price it. And here's the thing: I think they might price it at $449. But here's where Microsoft will play the second thing. It'll be like a house of cards. This is me theorizing. Microsoft is then going to go ahead and say, if you purchase an Xbox, you'll get a proper 10-month subscription of Game Pass free if you buy it on day one. So this is how they're going to keep going and undercutting each other, is what I'm assuming.
I expect Microsoft to give those values anyway with the Series S and the Series X. I definitely see them giving some 3 months or 6 months of Game Pass if you buy it, right? I don't see that, but I think PS is gonna be priced higher than Xbox simply because again they can afford it. They have the games, they have the better things, but their service, which is the PS Plus, is not as good as you get.
Can afford it, but I think it's going to be a really stupid move on PlayStation's part to price it higher.
I don't think so. I think I think people are very excited for things like Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Spider-Man, right? And their Xbox, let's be honest, like we have discussed this before. Xbox does not have as good of a first party exclusive library right now as PS, which is obvious. People are looking at PS. Why? They're looking at the next gen first party lineups, which starts with something like Ratchet and Clank, right? And while Ratchet and Clank is still a very niche audience worldwide, like it's still a niche art style, it's not mass appealing and stuff, it's kidsy style of a game. It's the next gen first party lineup that's attracting people, and I think that's where PlayStation can easily own the pricing. I think they can be like 550, 600.
Where do you think the digital version will price at?
I think they'll go for 600 and 449 or something.
600 for digital?
Yeah, no, 600 for the with the CD and stuff.
Right.
And I expect there to be I don't know if they'll do it initially, but I expect there to be variants of 1 GB and 2 GB 1 TB and 2 TB variants. I don't know if that will come right off the bat, but that will eventually happen, of course, right?
This has been always Sony's like biggest selling point for their PlayStation entire lineup of.
Yeah, I think the digital will be less costly than Series X, right? But I think the CD thing will be costlier than Series X, and I think they can completely afford it because first party. But where PS loses to Xbox is where the Game Pass as a service. They have PS Plus, but PS Plus is a slow drip, right? You get a few games per month and you get to keep those games. So if you had PS Plus for the last 3 years, as if you're a X, if you're coming to PlayStation from the PlayStation family, it's a instant purchase because you're bringing all those games with you to
Right.
PS5, right? But if you're, say, a PC gamer or an Xbox gamer and you want to get into it right now, initially you will have very few games to play on the PS Plus, right? Compared to someone else who has collected all those games over the years. Well, that's where I think Xbox can improve their Xbox Game Pass, like give away a few free games to the library, similar to how Epic Store also does. Epic Store copied this from PS Plus, right? They give away free games every month. Like here's a free game, here's a free game, and eventually you have a library, and they're like, okay, I guess I'll just stay to Epic Games. Now I have like 100 games already. I know people who have 100 games by just like redeeming free games all the time in Epic Games.
I remember when Bloodborne was given free on PlayStation Plus, right?
I remember that time.
Immediately got so many people back into trying that game, and the servers were so they might play with their older exclusives that way.
Yeah, so that's I completely see PS service is not bad, but it is a service that will reward you the longer you stayed. So if you're someone who's come now, you will not be as obviously, right? And that's where I think you can improve
Fair
on.
enough.
I think that's where you can improve on, where you can also have like a library of, say, 30, 40, 50 games that that's on rotating basis, that you can play this for 6 months.
That's been a very PlayStation thing. Now that you bring about it, it's very interesting point that you bring. PlayStation has always been very weak with their initial first couple of years, right? Because they believe in their exclusives, and the downside of exclusives is these take time to develop, right? Which means the earlier adopters don't really have a lot to go on. And it has always, their history has been that they grow legs and finish up really strong, which is something I think they're focusing on right now because they wanted to start with Spider-Man. I think they might revise that strategy on PlayStation Plus as well, because they've said how much success they've had with their PS Plus. That might be a focus. How it's gonna be is something we have to wait and watch. But I still think at the end of the day, Game Pass is a better alternative for new.
The thing is, here's the thing. Again, I will go back to why I don't like Xbox Pass as well. And this is coming to as someone who is a fan of Xbox Pass, right? The platform is horseshit. You use it on you compare it with something like, okay, if you guys use Steam and if you think Epic is bad because of its lack of features, Xbox is even more shit on PC. And I don't know how they managed it, because of the way they install games, which is different for some reason, right? Instead of just normally installing it, they're like, here's a random UMP whatever file that we'll put into it, which sometimes you cannot download, like we discussed like last podcast, right? Pratik couldn't uninstall after a while, right? So to those things, to having very weird integration, there are three apps on Windows. One is the normal store where you can buy games from also separately. One is the Xbox app where you can also buy games from. And then there is this Xbox Game Bar, which does absolutely nothing, but it's there for recording and stuff. And they add these features. I don't know who they're talking to. I don't know who is their core group or focus group, who they're talking to is like, yeah, we need an Xbox Game Pass because we definitely have to compete with Nvidia on this.
Do anything, to be honest.
Yeah, there's like a game.
Game Pass has no feature that, even as a person who plays games
Here's the thing. Xbox Game Bar has a feature which says, basically, it says like, make your games faster. And sometimes you're scared to press that, because initially what would happen is they would stop some of the important background softwares that you would be running, right? And like, what the fuck is going on? Why can't you just tweak these things? And I don't know who they're talking to. If Xbox is trying to make a platform, it's great. They're giving great value in terms of games. But if the app itself is bad to use, that value is being diminished a lot.
I see.
Right? That product itself, like if you use Xbox app right now, you can do this, and we can come back to this topic maybe on the next podcast. I can ask you, what do you think about this entire thing? Like, what do you think about the app? But
Mm.
the app is just bad. It's nothing compared to Steam. Of nothing even close. It's not even compared to Epic Store, which is sad because Epic Store is not that great, right? It's just a basic storefront. Somehow Microsoft manages to out like outdo Epic in like how to just not manage something. The review system is weird. You don't know who is reviewing. You don't know if they're just talk to some. Just hire hire UI developers from Steam and tell them, hire those people who make those engines, Steam engines and stuff, and just tell them make a better platform, because the platform on PC definitely needs to improve heaps and bounds. I know on Xbox it's much better. There's something wrong with PC. Just make it a normal app. Don't make it a random thing that
Gee, I
opens.
wonder how they would get knowledge on a Windows platform.
It's
I
it's
don't know why.
my problem is the initial angle that the app took was, I think I can understand some of the problems why it comes. For those who don't know, the initial angle the app took was more along the lines of what Apple was trying to do with iOS, which is lock things into a closed environment, and they got a huge backlash around it.
They
There
did.
was a lot of I won't go to the nitty gritties, but basically they tried to control the environment, control the storefront, control how the files are going in. That's why Steam started releasing Steam boxes and shit like that, and they went to Linux to they were developing an OS in Linux. There was a lot of controversy around that. But because of that angle, the initial foundations of the app were very bad, I think. And now they're like, okay, we'll just improve and improve on it. I think they should just throw it out, make an Xbox 2.0 app for PC that is built nothing like this, nothing like that's installing games in a different file called UMP or whatever for no goddamn reason. And just make it like a normal app like Steam or whatever that runs across generations of Windows instead of just Windows 10. Yeah.
See, at this point, we on PC we have so many storefronts. Like
Yeah,
it's getting ridiculous at this point. But
they can be something like GOG is for PC. You know how GOG is like, here's all your gaming apps. They can do so much. It's like it's your own home ground. It's Windows is your own thing. Why
I
are
think
you?
yeah. I mean, if they actually did something like GOG, how GOG has developed a storefront that doesn't, say, "Oh my God, Steam, stay away. Oh my God, Epic, stay away." It's like brings everyone in and says,
Yeah,
"You know
yeah,
what? Stay here.
yeah. The thing
Buy
is,
whatever you want. Stay here.
Microsoft
It
should
doesn't matter."
embrace the fact that PC and Windows is an open platform and
Yeah.
not try to take cues for something like Apple, which is the opposite of Microsoft, which is a closed platform. Right? It's
I
a
mean,
very
it is
closed
opposite to
platform.
Microsoft's own philosophy, which
Yeah,
is with the next gen, which is like play anything anywhere you want.
yeah.
So you have to follow
And
through with that.
yeah, and their
Also,
entire my biggest problem with Microsoft remains, and this Xbox Pass remains the same, which is the platform is so bad. It's just so bad. Yeah.
I think
also the analogy you put forth, it's kind of hilarious that like you mentioned the comparison between Xbox and uh, PlayStation, and then Epic and Steam. Like it's pretty evident that PlayStation rewards loyalty
yeah.
rather than fostering newer generation of players like coming forward and picking up the games. Like
I mean,
it
they're
kind of
trying now, but yeah,
yeah,
the
they're trying
service
now,
the
but like
service is more
but
geared
they've
towards
gone
older
so
fans.
long with this kind of business policy that, like right now, if you're a new player, it's gonna take some time to get up to that level of the other players. While it's the same thing on Steam as well. If you're if you play anything, you're gonna turn on your PC, you're gonna turn on Steam. That's how it works. So, like Microsoft, I think has to find that kind of balance where Microsoft becomes an entity where you turn on your PC and you turn on the Microsoft storefront to get
Right.
all your games. Like, if
Another
Microsoft can do that, they can easily win this generation and probably even become a competitor to Steam to a point. Not entirely, to a point.
So another thing that I don't know if it's exactly relevant to this discussion, but I've noticed when you talked about brand loyalty and how PlayStation wants to develop that, right? Is like notice that they changed their logo to a complete PlayStation Studio, which plays in front of every exclusive. But they're doing another way of marketing their games in things that is not related to games. They've used the movie studios now, right? And they're using the game IP to develop movies and TV series like The Last of
Yeah,
Us
yeah, yeah.
series, right? And partnering not with just nobody, they're partnering with the people who made Chernobyl, etc., right?
This is very
Fostering,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
they've seen what Netflix is doing, and they're like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can do that.
we could do that, right? And they have the experience with movie studios. They have
Hmm.
the Sony Pictures has been a huge thing for a while. So them using their IPs, right, and spreading that concept to a non-gamer market
Mhm.
makes those more recognizable. So then when those people go like, hey, I want to play that, where can I play it? PlayStation 5, right?
Mhm.
That seems to be a roundabout strategy that they are again, which again harkens to their exclusives, I suppose, which is an interesting thing to see.
It's basically double dipping, what you would
Right.
call in like, yeah. But also this reminds me. I don't know if you guys know this, but Avengers and Fortnite had a collaboration
Yeah, yeah,
again
Right.
recently.
yeah.
The funniest part is it's canon. Like it's actually canon in Avengers, like in Marvel continuity, it's actually canon. I
Huh?
have no idea how it is possible, but apparently it happened. Like the characters actually went into uh, the Fortnite world or something like that. I don't know if it's the MCU canon or the Marvel comic canon. The comics make more sense.
These days they'll say canon to everything, and
No,
they're
it's
like,
gonna break
yeah,
my
we
head
can.
because so when in Avengers Endgame Thor was playing Fortnite, he knew that the Avengers plotline was canon in the Fortnite. That's gonna break my head on a completely
I
different
mean,
day.
I mean, I don't know, like just, but yeah, someone told me there is canon. I'm like, dude, and it's not even someone who is like some random guy on the street. Like this person I know who follows comics and all these stuff for a living. So yeah, I'm like, damn, this is kind of interesting. But like, yeah, Sony finding out that they can double dip into their own infrastructure, existing infrastructure.
Hmm.
It's I expected Sony to do this way earlier. It's good that they're doing it now, but way earlier. And it's also kind of sad that like Sony can't actually capitalize on the Avengers entirety because they have one of the most loved characters from MCU, Spider-Man. If they can bring Tom Holland Spider-Man in their game universe somehow, I don't know, it would break people's brains.
I think
But
that.
if it happens, like they're bound to get way more revenue than they're generating through
I think
just
before all of
content.
that, they will bring before all of that, Tom Holland ever comes to us like this thing
The game.
game as a character, he'll probably come to Spider Verse the animated.
They shot that.
Again,
By the way, fixed fact. He was supposed to be in the. He
yeah,
was
yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to be
yeah, I
in the
heard that.
Spider-Verse movie. So was Tobey Maguire supposed to be.
So he'll
Tom
probably
Holland
get
actually.
the.
Wait, was
Tom
it
Holland actually
wasn't
recorded a scene. They cut it
wait,
out.
wait, wasn't the older Peter Parker was Tobey Maguire's
No, no,
Yeah, Tobey
Peter
Maguire was
Parker, right?
supposed to be the older Spider-Man,
but he
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't.
and Tom Holland had voiced the scene in Spider-Verse. They cut it out.
Okay. But
See,
but
they,
but uh, but that means it's still possible for Spider Verse
it's
to.
still possible.
You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
And craziest thing is, do you know Ratchet and Clank using the SSD to cause rift through times?
Mhm.
What did that remind you of?
A
That
Spider-Man.
was very Spider-Verse
Yeah,
reminiscent,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Insomniac is the studio that made Spider-Man, right? I was like, is this a test for Spider-Verse game potential? I'm like,
Oh,
if that happens, well,
what if they do that with Spider-Man 3?
the best Spider-Man. Oh, sure.
I mean,
No, as in they like I'm sure they will after Miles Morales there will be a Spider-Man 2. I don't think Spider-Man 2 will be
Yeah, no,
over
I
the
think
net.
yes, I do agree. I think Spider-Man 3 might go in that direction.
Yeah, yeah. I think by 3 they'll be like, okay, we can try this now. They'll have more understanding of the
oh,
tech by that time.
they can also. I mean, I'm not sure what their idea of Spider-Man games or how the continuity goes on is, but Shattered Dimensions is something that a lot of people talk about all the time. Like
It
they
laid the foundation for
really,
Spider-Verse.
yeah, they really like Shattered Dimensions. Like again, it laid the foundations of Shattered like Spider-Verse. But if they can bring it to the next gen or this gen,
Yeah,
whatever,
no one will
like
do
I
that.
mean,
No one
why
will do
not?
that. No one's
I
doing
mean,
that.
it's
It was a game by who? Activision, no?
Activision.
Not
Bungie.
getting that.
then
You're not
yeah,
getting
not
that.
Not
Activision,
Bungie,
but
no.
like I mean, if it
You're
becomes
not getting that. Keep hoping.
Aman is
see,
straight up like not telling
I
you.
was
Keep
like,
keep hoping. Keep hoping.
No, I don't.
I
I
am
don't think so.
sorry to break your hopes, but not happening.
Aman,
see,
okay.
I can only hope because I'm never going to get enough money to buy a PS4, so
This
or
is this
PS5.
is this is this is someone asking for a remaster of the SNES Batman games. Not happening. Okay. Keep dreaming. Keep being in your wonderland. Maybe
I
60,
don't think it's
70.
happening
Yeah,
either.
It's
yeah,
fine. We are getting a quarter bowl game, so it's fine.
yeah.
It's
That's
coming.
Aman,
interesting. That's gonna be fun. But yeah.
let's bring it back.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, what was the topic we were discussing anyway?
Gone,
It's
gone,
gone.
gone.
It's
We were
gone.
talking about Xbox and we went to Spider-Man. Holy shit. Um
I
I
don't
mean,
know that, but
I mean,
okay.
I'm
The
surprised that.
funniest part was it wasn't even me who brought
Yeah,
up.
exactly. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that it's not even Udit who brought the
it
Spider-Man
was
topic.
he would bought it, no? This
Yeah.
ADHD freak. Okay. Uh, anyway, so the next topic I guess is what games are we playing? We'll start with Bawal. What games are you playing? Finish up your
Path
essay.
of Exile.
Okay,
Like
is that
that's.
it?
Do I want to go into it? Do I want to go into that rabbit hole? Fine, I'll do it for like 5 minutes or less because I
Never
don't know.
5 minutes with you, Arnav.
Yeah. Uh, what is Path of Exile? It's an ARPG. So it's kind of like a spiritual successor to Diablo. If Diablo 3 didn't exist and wasn't as bad as it is, but like Path of Exile is trying what Diablo 4 wants to do. It's basically polishing up on what Diablo 2 already brought to the table for the RPG genre, and it's expanding on it. Like Aman would know this better than me
When is
because
when is when is Path of Exile 2 coming out? The next expansion.
Path of Exile 2 is coming out after the latest expansion
It's
release.
supposed
The
to
latest,
come. It was supposed to come end of this year, no?
no. It was supposed to come next year, 2021. Like they
Uh,
even told everyone at ExileCon, 2020 is not possible. They're making sure. Like Path of Exile 2 is bringing a lot of changes to the existing, concept and mechanics. Like
yeah.
for example, we have shape shifting in Path of Exile 2, which is going to be its own entire gameplay mechanic in itself. Like it's not like in other games you shapeshift, you charge up a certain bar of some sort, some kind, then you shapeshift for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Like it's a huge power up, right? In Path of Exile 2, shapeshifting is going to be a core part of your gameplay. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to
See
wait or anything.
what's more exciting for me between Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4 is the fact that how certain things in Diablo 4 that took me by surprise is when they hey Udit, you've seen ARPG games, no?
Right.
How they put top down views, right? In Diablo 4 they show a trailer, and this is like gameplay,
Right.
not a gameplay trailer,
Oh, the
where they zoom in on the character and you can see the individual details of each, like the assets in the whatever
right.
they're wearing, weapon, accessories, and most importantly you can see a skybox and you can see what's in the horizon, something that
Have
you
some
can't do
stuff
in
happening, stuff
yeah,
happening
some
beyond.
stuff you can't do. You couldn't zoom in like that ever before in an ARPG
Right.
game, and there was never a zoom in like that in cinematics also in ARPG games. So that's very interesting, and we've seen this in Diablo 2, but in the form of textures in the background. Right? It was never an actual world in the background. So it's gonna be very interesting how they play on with that for cinematics in Diablo 4. And for Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4, I am more interested with how they're changing certain gameplay features in the fact that it's a lot of skill shots this time around.
Right.
So it's if you play if you play Dota or stuff like that, your character jumps from one place to another in how they attack, right? and there's a lot of destructible environment that affects how you play around in that game. So I'm very interested to see how they entangle the entire destructive environment with this,
Oh,
the
definitely.
unique battle
Definitely. I
system.
can see the appeal.
But yeah, Path of Exile is also getting an expansion. Like you said, right?
In about 5 days. So the easiest way to explain the expansion, which is like I'm really hyped for it because, okay, have you ever played Grand Theft Auto in an ARPG game?
No. Oh, they're getting heists. Right.
Yes.
They're getting
And
heists.
like heists, so small intro into this. You recruit a couple of thieves, assassins, like people with certain skills. You take them into a heist. You have an alert level, so if you kill enemies or if you kill enemies or break certain stuff, the alert level rises slightly. If you do certain activities like open doors, reinforce doors, break through doors, open cases like which contain loot and everything, the alert level rises significantly. There is one single artifact that you're after in the entire heist. If you get that, the alert level gets up to the maximum, whether it doesn't matter where it was before. Then you have to exit. Now, the thing about Path of Exile is you get hordes of enemies. If you're strong enough, you can kill the hordes of enemies. In Heist, they're changing it to a point where, after a certain point, it's going to be detrimental for you to be in the heist, not to kill the enemies, because it's going to be getting very difficult.
So the ultimate
The core-
objective isn't to kill the enemies. That's why they just
Yes,
throw
it's to-
enemies like here.
it's to
Take the entire
yeah,
map of enemies.
yeah,
It's all our
get
assets.
your and the other part is in other expansions, if you get the loot from an area, it's yours. In heist, if you steal something, until and unless you're out of the heist, the loot isn't yours. So if you die with that, let's say you got a really wonderful item, like that's worth a couple of hundred exalts or whatever, I don't even know. If you have a really chase item that you're looking forward to making a build upon, and you die with that item, it's gone. You can't have it. So there's this, like Path of Exile before this, it didn't have a risk versus reward sort of kind of a thing. Like if you died in a map, you could always run that map again in the future. Like in 20 minutes later, you can always buy that map or run it again. But here in Heist, if you get that unique, there's no guarantee that you're going to get that tomorrow or ever. So this is kind of a new thing that they're bringing in Path of Exile. Before Path of Exile 2, they're testing. The Heist League is basically a testing bed for Path of Exile 2 because they're bringing a lot of interesting mechanics into this as a testing bench to see what can they bring in Path of Exile 2 to make it a better experience. Because
Understood.
Path of Exile 2, Path of Exile's gear system works on crafting a lot. Like you can craft your own gear if you know how it works. But the thing is, it's very RNG and there's no deterministic craft. Like you can't just put this amount of item into a crafting bench and get the same reward. There's a very big RNG involved. Like there's 7 tiers of a certain affix that you can roll. So if you put 10 of this currency, you can either get the highest roll, you can get the lowest roll, and that's it. You're stuck with that item. You have to start over. But in Heist League, they're developing a system where we get a rather not the worst, but a better item. Like not the worst item, but a better item. So you can at least use it. That you tried out Path of Exile 2-3 years ago, try it now. Like
Yeah,
if you want anything, try it in Heist League. Read up on a few build guides, how to build your character. You'll need
I have more interesting games to play now. See,
Wow, this mug.
like
Sure,
Valorant.
I believe you.
Like
So what
Valorant.
are you playing, Aman?
See,
I'm playing Valorant. I'm like Silver 3 over in
Never
Valorant.
mind, just continue.
Wait, just ignore me for 1 second.
What games are you playing? What games are you playing with it?
So I finally, oh my god, so I think we lost.
No, it's fine.
Definitely putting that. I'm not cutting that part.
I finally got some time again to resume Ghost of Tsushima after a month of break. Pratik is gonna kill me because I'm so far behind with the review. Hey, it's a cat. What's his name?
Uh, Lucy.
Lucci, so cute. Anyway, so I was playing. I was in the second island. There are three. It should have been done long ago, but I'm just so busy being distracted by the environments, right? So it's a very good podcast game or a audiobook kind of game. Is like you don't have to pay attention in a lot of ways while not in combat. When it's combat, it's pretty strategic, but more often than not, I just put my headphones off and listen to audiobook. I'm currently listening to Musashi, which is the audiobook, which is the quintessential samurai audiobook, right? And that complements this game so well. One of the best things about Ghost of Tsushima are the mythic quests. Okay, I just want to talk about this. It's the side quests that you go to. First of all, the side quests, the pointers taken from Zelda's Breath of the Wild, natural indicators, right? You don't have to go out and press the menu. When you walk around, you'll see a bird, you follow that bird. You see a fox, you follow that fox. You see the wind will guide you, right? It accentuates you being at your Taoist nature, your Zen nature with the surroundings. That's what the feeling of samurai is, right? So when you go, you meet this bard. Mostly, he was playing a flute or whatever among a crowd, and he talks about certain weapons, and it goes in this. You remember in this?
Oh, do you have like cursed blades and shit here? In
Yes,
Ghost of
curved
Tsushima?
blades. And those tales are explained exactly how you see in the start of animes, right? You remember how in Deathly Hallows they explained how the Deathly Hallows
Oh,
were
do you have
formed.
like cursed blades like
Yeah.
in One Piece?
Exactly, cursed blades,
Oh
and they
my
talk
god.
about the history behind that. How there was this demon,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
a guy who got possessed by this cursed blade and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
And they explain this in terms of graphic art, picturesque art, which gives you a proper visual, right? And they tell you to find this. Many people say that you have to follow this mountain that is surrounded by
And
flowers.
and do you get cursed blades with like effects and shit?
Getting to that, I'm getting to that. All right, so it's like the first one I went to was the special move which was mastered by this guy. It's called the lightning strike. All right, and so you go to this mountain, you hear and you see dead bodies on the way, right? You finally meet that place, and you see there's just like rows of katanas surrounding that arena. Rows of katana. You go there, and this guy comes from behind you, right? He's like, I've done everything to master this thing. You will be my final challenge. And you go into that standoff mode, and there's lightning coming in the background completely. This is a side quest that's happening, all right? And the close-up cuts happen in the way of the samurai movies, and you end that fight using the thunder strike. And then it says you have mastered the thunder strike. That every time you do these mythic quests, you either get a bow from a cursed person, you get a cursed blade, and there's so much lore. It just, again, there is just so much love put into these. In a Ubisoft game, that would, no offense, Arnam, in a Ubisoft game, this would be just a collectible you would have picked up at a side place. But just the thought that goes into this, right? You're building up the lore of this being a cursed instrument, right? Adds so much to you collecting. So much for I have forgotten my quest. Like, yeah, Tsushima is under attack by Mongols, but I'm gonna follow this bird. I'm gonna just see where this is gonna take. And the photo mode, man.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
photo mode of Ghost of Tsushima. Other games have not done before, but it's just the thing. It has this clear visual of we want you to have the quintessential samurai experience, and they deliver that, right? And there's just so much thought put into it. Side quests are not side quests that just go into your log, right? It
Yeah.
takes inspiration from those samurai TVs and the movies of your time, where chapters appear in bold font. They're focusing the presentation, dude. Even the presentation of the side quests, right? In most open world games, you would have them appear as a log in the side. Even here they've gone through the extra effort where if you've seen samurai movies, if you've seen old television, right, an episode always starts, even the Mandalorian has taken inspiration from this
You
kind of.
haven't played Witcher 3, no?
I have played Witcher 3. I have played like around 10 hours of it. Yeah.
So you haven't played a massive amount. So
No, I've
they
not played
they,
enough.
they do similar things in Witcher 3 as well. This is very much, I think this is what a lot of people praise Witcher 3. They did their side quests and stuff very nicely where they
No,
went
I'm
into a
talking
lot
about
of
the
lore.
presentation, which is harkening from samurai movies more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the episode always starts with them focusing on either a bamboo shoot or a hot spring or
Okay.
certain people just working, and then the name of the episode comes in huge font, right, with the background effect. That's the same way every side quest starts here, and you're like, this is perfect. This is such a samurai thing, and it's just everything goes with that samurai. They know their inspiration. They're very derivative, but they know their inspiration, and they're like, we want to deliver this experience to you.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I think a similar kind of game that is. I mean, all of you, both of you saw that game, right? Like Sun Wukong Black Myth.
Right.
The- like I don't know what
Which one?
they were saying. The Sun Wukong game.
Oh, the China game. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
It
Chinese
looks
game.
nice. Yeah.
But like, yeah, it doesn't even look nice. It's just how they have like brought in characters from the Chinese mythology into that game, like as enemies, as or something like that, and the entire set piece. Like, if I had to select a game that looked like Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm not sure if they will be able to deliver it, but if it feels like it gives off the same aura,
I mean,
vibe, whatever.
no. Ghost of Tsushima
Aman,
is
by the way,
very.
what is your screen focusing on? I see a screen. I see a Prince of Persia.
Oh, that's my. It's not available on the
Right.
podcast thing. That's whenever I go into. That's my Chrome open.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
In case I go to the second screen to show you guys, which is what we will discuss because we missed out Prince of Persia 30 minutes of recording. So
Yeah,
that will last out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what we were saying, because Sun Wukong is a very different game to Ghost of
But
Tsushima.
no, but
One of them
what
is
I'm
more
saying
in
is,
line with Sekiro, I think.
Yeah, it's a more in line with Dark Souls and Sekiro than Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
just like
in
that.
terms of the whole experience, yes,
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima feels closer to being the samurai experience. Mechanically, obviously, Sekiro is more dense,
Yeah.
but it's going for a different experience. I would say the thing is because
Sekiro is not realistic though. You don't parry as samurais. Just saying.
right. Oh yeah. So the best part is that the motion capture is done by taking actual samurais,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
So every time there's a cut, right, the movement, everything, you feel that, right?
Yeah,
You
because
just-
Sekiro, I want to point out to anyone who says Sekiro is mechanically better and all that. You don't parry in real life. In sword fights, if you parried with a katana that much, it would break because it's not supposed to. You're not supposed to block with your fucking sword. Just let's put it that way. It blunts your sword. Not only that, it also breaks it.
Right.
Info.
So parry is a huge thing even in this, but the way he parries, right? Again, the advantage of having an actual samurai motion, doing the motion capture, right? Feels every time you parry, there are different animations in the way he does it. It feels very fluid. Every combat, if done right, it is. People will say Sekiro is mechanically dense, and it is, but this is going for an open world experience, and the amount of strategy that it has, the amount of tactical gameplay that it has for an open world game is pretty deep, right? You actually have to figure out the four stances and juggle between them, and even within them there's like the moves, there's a different type of combos that you can do. So when you're doing those things in succession, right, and it's not just those four things. On the other side, you have your ninja techniques as well, the smoke bombs, the shurikens, everything, right? When you combine all of that, if you get it right, you perform such a satisfying dance around those things, right? They will learn to fear you, and you totally feel like that samurai badass. That game,
There's a fear factor also in the game, right? If you assassinate like some people.
yeah, you're legend. So everything, again, it's like a superhero origin story of sorts. Every time you do a quest, your legend increases, and once your legend increases, you do have you do have a certain personality and intimidation, where if you take this is like if you stab a person from behind, or if you do the stealth assassination, other guy will just like forget and run, and either he'll start scrolling, there's this one time, all right, there's this one amazing battle I had. I was like wiping people off. Other guy said, "No, fuck this." He's running away. He's running to the sunset. Okay, it's such a beautiful shot, and I'm like, you know what? Nah, fuck you. Like I was like, took the bow, hit him straight. I got an achievement trophy for that, for killing a guy who was running away. It was
PlayStation
so
being very
good.
statistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, second take. Very cool. Sorry, Sekiro nahi, Ghost of Tsushima. I keep mixing those two games up. But yeah, so what am I playing? I'm playing Valorant, like Silver 3. That's your equivalent to CS:GO Global Elite. So yeah, I am like the top ranking Valorant player right now in my locality. Kalindi.
Almost had me impressed for a brief second.
But yeah, I'm pretty badass in Valorant, so that's nice.
Are you pushing rank solo or with a team?
Both. They asked me to come on our team because they need me to carry them. So yeah.
Into iron?
To Global Elite.
Into iron?
CS:GO
Into
standards.
iron. See,
So yeah, I'm not. I finished Wasteland 3. It's great. It has like a Witcher 3 style ending where you get multiple endings if you like, depending on what your options are. You get like a like epilogue with, you know, these people survived, these people died, these people are living happily ever after, these people are headless now. So yeah, that's nice. Very cool story.
happily ever after comes right before headless.
Yeah,
Fun
yeah,
progression that you chose.
yeah. But it's a nice game. I think everyone should play it. But that's the latest single player game I completed, and I've been playing Fall Guys a lot, which is nice. I'm planning to play a very interesting game that I'll probably put out in the channel that I think Udit will be interested in. I will play Surgeon Simulator 2 with an actual doctor.
Oh yeah.
The bone surgeon I talked about, she'll play with me. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna do surgeon stuff in Surgeon Simulator 2.
That's something I'm interested in.
Yeah, I'm gonna take her opinion. This is right. No. That's an insane game. But it's the one thing I want to mention. I was searching it in Steam. Apparently, Surgeon Simulator 2 is not on Steam, even though Surgeon Simulator 1 was a Steam kind of collaboration. But this is on Epic Store only, and it's $8 only. So it's very cheap, and it's like a
Right.
4-player game, co-op game. So not bad.
I want you to take out a bone out of, like, you can. I think you can.
You can crack bones. There's like hammers, and you can
Yeah.
crack bones and shit, and like it's very
You
interesting.
can do a surgery on Trump, I think. So I would really like you to.
I haven't seen that, but it would be interesting.
I'm pretty sure you can.
It would be interesting, yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm playing and what I
Imagine taking
intend to
out
play.
Trump's bone out of his body. It's like in certain simulators.
You're weird, fetishes, but
It's
whatever.
not fetish.
Whatever. Yeah, let's go to the end of the today's topic, which is something we started with, but because I'm disconnecting so much and my PC is crashing.
Before on the topic of Ubisoft itself,
Yeah.
right? Before we go to the final topic, which is the most interesting, there was another topic which is very dear to my heart and to
What?
a lot of people. It is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay,
right?
Scott Pilgrim. I have no
Yes.
idea.
This is a game which there's a very interesting story about this game, right? This is a game which has a huge cult following, and the cult following developed because of its inaccessibility, right? This is another case where we can talk about the interesting where the issue of digital going all digital comes, where the game released, and due to some licensing issues with the creator, the game was delisted from everywhere and you could not get this game, right? So through that and through YouTube videos, that game grew a cult following. But there is a really interesting development story of this game, right? It was supposed to come out at the same time as to capitalize on the popularity of the movie, a lack of popularity because it actually flopped in theaters.
The movie wasn't bad though.
The movie was brilliant, right? It wasn't a commercial success. Right. So the game, Ubisoft Montreal worked on it for like 7 months, but they only finished 20%, but they had to put their resources somewhere else. So they gave it the development to another studio, which is a Chinese studio called Chedong, I suppose. And those guys had to finish the game in 5 months, right?
Okay, so I'll give a trailer for the game here.
Right.
So watch.
The best part about this game is the music, which is by Anama Noguchi. They have inspired. I'll tell about this game. So,
Yeah, I'm playing it over on
right.
screen right now. This is like a
So,
10-year anniversary or whatever.
yes. So the best part about, because that's when Scott Pilgrim movie came
Right,
out, right?
right.
So anybody who's a fan of the Scott Pilgrim comics knows that it was a very interesting take on on relationships by putting a background of a video game, putting through the lens of a video game, right? It was like Scott needs to date Ramona, and to do that he has to fight her seven exes,
Yeah.
right? And they are built like your beat 'em up kind of games, right? The comic
Yeah.
was built around that,
Yeah,
right? And the movie was adapted by the greatest director of current times, Edgar Wright, and it did capture the feeling of a video game. So it stands to reason that this media would do best as a video game, right? So this game was finished. 20% of it was done by Ubisoft Montreal. The remaining game was finished in 5 months. I don't know how much of crunch went into that, but you can clearly see from the art and everything they left no stone unturned in getting the feeling of the comics. There's pixel art in there. It is going for the beat 'em up thing from River City. What was that? River City Ransom. I have a friend who's a huge fan of these kind of games. The thing is, while it might not be mechanically dense, it does completely get the feel of the comics and the source material and the movies, and it's just there is a certain vibe to this game, right? Which is further taken by the music from Anamanaguchi, which they have blended Nintendo and your 8-bit kind of music to give you a proper experience. The beaten up, the animation is completely stylish. The reason was this game was delisted. Nobody thought that they would get to see this game come back on store, right? And now it is back, and now everybody is happy.
They will be able to experience this for the
Right.
first time. I think, like without the movie,
think-
Edgar Wright is a wonderful director, no
Right.
doubt about it. But the movie has lost its meaning over the years,
Hmm.
whereas the game
Hmm.
is basically going to inject a fresh breath of life into the entire franchise. And again, as we've seen for like the longest time, the games can break walls that movies can't, because it's an audio visual and
Right.
you can experience it yourself personally. So the game is already breaking the boundaries between movies, comics, games at the same time. And again, music always it always, I would say, enhances the experience that you're already going to have. So it's going to be interesting to see as a social thing how people take this. Like people who have there's going to be various types of I would say opinions about this game. People who
Right.
have seen the movie and are coming back to play this, they're going to have different opinions. People who have read the comics, seen the movie, playing the game, they're going to have different opinions. People who are just playing the game and getting into this, and then they're going to read the comics or see the movie or both. All these opinions are going to have like a major discussion about how all of this
Right.
is going to evolve moving forward from this game. If it is a success, if it is a commercial success,
What's a
game will
commercial
probably-
success?
A commercial success would be that a lot of people buy it. What the hell
Yeah,
do you
I
mean?
mean,
Commercial.
if you make more than your production cost,
Hey, this looks like barely that much costing a remaster or complete edition.
So the thing about this is, firstly, about I don't think it's an issue about this being commercial success, but which I think it will be. But the ramifications of it, right? The thing is, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the comics are such a beautiful represent. Both the comics and the movie try to emulate the video game aspect, right? Like let's see how relationships are
So
broken
does
down.
that mean Scott Pilgrim is technically now the best video game movie we have ever had?
I think it always was. It always was. There was never a
I
competition.
mean, that's technically the best video game movie adaptation we have ever had now.
you're just confusing us. It's a transmedia. All right. Let's say the thing is, it's such a beautiful exploration of relationships by seeing your exes as bosses, right?
What
Right?
is this
And
beautiful explanation? What do you like?
shut the fuck up. Right?
What weed are you
It's
smoking
not
that
a
you
beautiful way, it's
think?
a new
What
way to see
what weed are you smoking that you think that Scott Pilgrim is a beautiful exploration of relation?
The weed I am smoking is my sad life, all right? So, uh,
And wait. For all this time, you guys shat on me for being self-deprecating, and now you're doing it on stream. Which is hilarious.
See, we are doing it for entertainment. We don't do it for like no reason at least.
right. I'm
Yeah.
playing a character here, dude.
See.
So, so that's the thing. The sad part about the game is that they had to cut out the story narrative elements because they had 5 months to finish it. So most of them are done through emoticons and stuff, right? The focus front and center on gameplay. So when the
Right.
thing finished, the director was like, we were just 50% done.
Uh,
So what I'm hoping is that once this gets a reception again, right, we can have the proper Scott Pilgrim experience that we've always craved for with further.
Yeah, but considering this is from Ubisoft, they're going to sell you the half of the experience as a DLC.
Right. This is
So
another
that's not gonna be a
another surprising thing about this game is that considering it was made by Ubisoft, this feels more like a pet project. So I recommend everybody once it comes out, try playing it. You'll be surprised at how much heart this game has. Right? Just go for it.
yeah, Scott Pilgrim was revealed, and I think one of the more interesting reveals
Also, it
was
has a beautiful exploration of relationships. I don't care. Fight me. I'll die on that hill.
one of the more interesting games that I liked that was showcased, which is Ubisoft Zelda Breath of the Wild clone, which is Rising Phoenix something something. Phoenix
Yeah.
Rising, whatever.
Exactly.
Immortals, whatever. Such
Yeah,
a weird
Immortals
name.
Rising.
Such a weird name. The gods and monsters were so much easier to swallow.
But
Yeah.
I think they would change it because it felt basic to them. Like it's very generic.
It's also
Like,
very
Ubisoft,
like
gods and
it's easy to remember
But-
gods and
but
monsters.
they
But
went
the
down the rabbit hole way too much while naming it, and they ended up somewhere.
yeah,
nobody
what
likes
the
it.
hell is Immortals Phoenix whatever?
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
That looks interesting.
I'm pretty sure a guy said that in his mind, and it sounded like, damn man, that sounds really cool. And they put it
So here's the
doesn't
thing.
sound as cool.
So here's the thing. A lot of people got to play like some 2.5 hours of the game. IGN released a 20-minute gameplay clip of it as well. So it looks very interesting. It doesn't look bad. What do you think with it? Do you think this is the Legend of Zelda clone that Ubisoft can pull off?
I wish, but I mean, it looks interesting.
Destroyed in seconds.
I mean, it looks interesting. It will be a good game. I think the comparisons with Breath of the Wild are unneeded and putting an unfair amount of pressure on the game, which, to be fair, the game has put on itself.
It looks very much like that. I mean,
right.
it doesn't just look like that. It has similar mechanics as well, specifically when it comes to mountain climbing and stuff. Right? I think I'll just play it on screen for people to watch. Yeah, my OBS hasn't crashed surprise. Yeah.
Formerly known as Gods
I'll
and
just if you see the gameplay with it,
Yeah.
it's very similar. It
is. You are right in calling it a Breath of the Wild clone, and I think it has shot itself in the foot with that.
I mean, it's also a very already explored kind of setting, which
Right.
is Greek mythology, which has been like done and dusted. I mean, we saw Greek mythology in God, we've been seeing Greek mythology very popularized in gaming since God of War, and then Odyssey did it. Then we had so many other games around it as well. So it's like, okay, I'm interested, but I know most of the stories of what I have to expect. I'm damn sure Hades will be one of the. Apparently, the world is divided into. Yeah.
Sorry, you cut off, so I thought you stopped.
Okay. No, so apparently the world is divided into each the world map is divided into each sections, and each section is by it's showing a certain god, and it's like around the god basically. So you can expect like an Olympus or a Hades kind of scenario. But yeah.
I mean, what was the appeal of Breath of the Wild was its strong systemic design, where you could manipulate certain things in the environment and they would have a chain reaction,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, which made the world feel such a whole thing, which is what separates Breath of the Wild, which is what puts Breath of the Wild above, far and above any other open world game, right? Was its strong design, which formed chain reactions and endless. If you just see the videos, there are endless things people are still discovering in that game. I don't think this game is going for that, but unfortunately, that's something people might be expecting out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interesting because it's a new IP by Ubisoft after a long time, right?
Right.
I don't remember when was the last new IP. When was the last new
Beyond
IP?
Good and Evil.
Beyond Good and Evil is technically not in last. This is
Their last new IP, like completely new IP, was which one came first, Watch Dogs or The Division?
which Watch Dogs technically came first.
It's nothing like how expansive Breath of the Wild was or how mechanically strong the game was. It's a very streamlined form of that same exploration slash combat slash oh my god, look pretty, that kind of thing. Like Ubisoft is kind of dabbling into the certain like other into aspects of what made other games tick. They're dabbling into it. They're trying to incorporate it into the games, but they're doing it in such a casual fashion that I don't think that they're going to get much mileage out of this kind of thing.
I mean,
Like,
it looks very interesting. A lot of people are interested about it, but let's see how
yeah,
it's. I am not.
see,
I'm particularly. It's like looks very generic. I don't know in what way exactly, but
The UI is so Ubisoft in a way.
I mean everything is so Ubisoft. It looks like a different game.
it looks interesting because of one thing only, because people, like most people on PC, have never had the experience of Zelda
Yeah, I
on
guess.
PC. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is going to be a new experience for them, right? Like, when was
Yeah.
the last Zelda game came out on PC?
No,
Beyond Good and Evil.
it was long time back.
We're gonna get there with it. We're gonna get
Yeah.
there one day. Beyond Good and Evil
Yeah.
is going to
Anyway,
release, and
anyway.
this podcast is going to blow up.
Anyway, my internet is also not doing well, so let's just finish up fast because I don't know how many times I'll disconnect in the next 10 minutes itself. I want to talk about the last topic of the day. I just want to go through Ubisoft. Yeah, Ubisoft. What were the topics? Scott Pilgrim, Gods and Monsters, whatever rename,
Done.
and what else did we get? I guess Watch Dogs Legion, but I mean, everyone's like, okay, we'll see it when it comes. We're not really particularly excited. It looks nice gameplay wise, but other than that, nothing exciting
Did
to
they
talk
show
about.
anything about Far Cry 6?
No,
Nothing.
they didn't show anything about Far Cry 6. They didn't show anything about Beyond Good and Evil 2, and they didn't show anything about something I'm expecting, which is Settlers, a strategy game that Ubisoft owns the IP of.
I'm not expecting anything Beyond Good and Evil related to be shown in the next 2 years.
No.
Beyond
Next
Good and
year,
Evil has merged
next
with
year,
reality.
next year for sure, because we already got so much news around it this year about what these guys hit record, asked people to submit
records.
pictures and stuff. So we'll probably at the last 1.5 years of production or something like that, and they're probably saving it for we'll announce it and then this will be our next big thing. This is to Beyond Good and Evil 2 is to, but the Ubisoft, like Skyrim is to Bethesda, to give anyone an understanding, right? It's their big thing that they'll announce through a red carpet, and when it goes out, it'll go out full blazing. So yeah, they'll definitely, and they've also
Eventually they'll milk it for like 7 generations. And
see, I don't expect Beyond Good and Evil to be one of those live service games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying Skyrim isn't a live service game, but Bethesda still keeps on
Yeah.
shoving it down.
You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what I'm happy is because they have realized how they messed up with the first Beyond Good and Evil, which they didn't market because it came at the time where Sands of Time released, and Beyond Good and Evil was not marketed. They didn't know how to market it, so it underperformed. It has grown to a cult status, and now the fact that they realize how beloved a property it is, right? And to see them giving it the reverence it deserves and giving Michel Ancel the freedom that he's always wanted is really, it is kind of brings, it sparks joy. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Let's see. Next year, I guess we get to talk about Beyond Good and Evil again. I think that will be a rave in India, of course, politically and just in a game sense. I think everything, everywhere, it will be a rave. There will be a lot of people talking about it. That's much I can be assured of. Okay. If nothing else, you will also see Ubisoft very likely partnering up, and making sure they're safe with the government. Like, don't talk bad about us, shit like that. And also giving full PR strategies around the game. So we'll probably see a lot of that. But yeah, last topic. Speaking of Sands of Time and destabilizing Beyond Good and Evil's release date, Sands of Time remake is coming and made by Ubisoft India Studios. Made by Ubisoft Pune and Ubisoft Mumbai. So it came out. Everyone likes Sands of Time, obviously, or Prince of Persia rather, and it wasn't well received publicly because the textures, specifically some model textures, don't look on par. Especially the Prince, Farah, and some of the NPCs in the background. We'll play a little bit of gameplay in the background for people to understand. It's like a 2-minute gameplay, and Udit, you can fill us in. Oh, there we go. We can see some of the textures I talked about on the left. Like, if you see, I can understand why people say this is not
It looks
2020.
unfinished.
It's not
It looks
2020.
unfinished.
Yeah, it doesn't look 2020. Come on.
No, actually, look at the hair more than the face, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it has the first touch done. There's no like detailing in that.
Yeah.
If you want to make an impression, you don't want to show an alpha footage. You wanna hit it big with your impression, right? As for the studio, I'm a little biased because I know few people in the studio. I've worked with a person who's now working at a studio. As far as the talent comes, I can vouch for the fact that these people who are working there are extremely talented. AAA game in India is a big deal, and not a lot of people talent in India is experienced in that, right? So most of the people that they've hired from India and are from mobile, either mobile division, or the prior experience they have is as QA testers on AAA games, right? Ubisoft Pune has made Just Dance and other games like that, but nothing of this. So that and the 2-year production pipeline, because Ubisoft Mumbai started hiring 2 years ago. Also the fact that they're working with the Anvil Engine, which is mostly for open. A lot of people have said that this shouldn't be a problem for because they've already made Prince of Persia game on an open world engine, but it's just like engineers ultimately set of codes that help a designer to design levels, etc., right? And the thing about programming, game programming, is finding the clearest, most optimized solutions for those things, right? So to give you an example about engines, first of all, I'm not an engine developer. I have a bit of experience with graphics programming, but that's the thing. The example is this, right? If you want to fix your car, you go to a mechanic store and you ask for a tool set. The guy comes and like, this is the best tool set we have. You take this might work for you. If you can get this done in 3 months, great, right? And the person is like, cool, I know the specifications. I will come back and make a customized toolkit for you. That is basically an engine, what engine does, right? Makes the work easier for designers. So if you see big companies like CDPR, Naughty Dog, with almost every game, they make their own engine because they have very specific needs with what they want to make. With Ubisoft, they follow a more fixed production pipeline, right? So they probably wanted this to be out in 2 years. And what that happens, because I don't think it was an issue with funding, because engine developers are the costliest. They're very costly, right? But I don't think that's an issue for Ubisoft. It was more about hitting the production pipeline, which is why these people had to probably work with the Anvil engine, right? Now, open world engines, what I can theorize is time plays a huge factor in open world games, right? The day-night cycle affects, if you play a game, right, you know that the day-night cycle affects the availability of certain NPCs or at certain time people might move, because they're all running in predetermined simulations that is defined by time, right? An NPC will have a path that it is moving on time. The birds will have a path that they're moving on time. They have randomness done, but they are going through a simulation that is determinate with time, right? So things are living to simulate a living experience which is progressing with time. That wouldn't be a problem for a normal single player game, but Sands of Time does have time as a mechanic, right? You can see how reversing time might affect things on a larger scale, which would be very hard on production, and how to balance that. I'm not saying this was definitely the issue. I'm saying this could possibly be the issue that they were experiencing, because this is a completely new team, right? So they have this being a single player game, everything has to be carefully handcrafted. The level designs are very, very strategically placed, right? And the mechanic has to be built to and balanced to that. That can be an issue. That aside, this being done in 2 hours, I think people's major issue with the game is something that is the most easily remedied.
Yeah, the textures. I mean, it's on the left side of this, like it's on the screen right now for anyone to see. It just looks bad. Let's be honest. By 2020 standards, if you see the current remakes, some of the best remakes, of course you're gonna, when you compare a product with anything, you'll compare it with the best, because you want that product to also be the best, right? You don't compare it with the middle ground or the worst in the lot. We aren't being like, oh, there are certain people in this country right now who will be like, we're not as bad as this country, why don't you go here if you don't like it here, right? I don't want gamers all to also go into that argument, obviously. I mean, don't compare it to the worst game and then be like, we are entitled. I don't think that helps. Yeah, it's not just an India thing. I think people across the world, if you go to Reddit and other forums, they have a similar reaction where they're like, we don't exactly know what, but something does not feel right. And I think you're right. Some of the easiest things here is to solve is the textures, where I'll just play the gameplay on the background for people to understand. The textures, model textures specifically, do not look on par with what we are used to seeing for remakes like in 2020, from Final Fantasy to Resident Evil to Shadow of the Colossus to even Demon Souls, which is going to be a launch title for the PS5 and is touted as a next gen remake of sorts, right? So yeah.
That again probably also has to do with the open world engine, right? Again, the graphic fidelity on open world engine only pushes for a certain level of fidelity in Ubisoft engines, at least, if you've seen, right? Modeling, texturing. To use that engine and then push past your details, right, for something that was meant for an open world could be another added challenge, I believe. Again, I don't have enough experience to comment on that, but you can see how that could be an issue as well, right? This guy has no detail on his face. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's like no texture. Like you can't see certain things that were developed in 2013. Like, subsurface scattering, that skin effect. It's not visible at all in this tech. I don't know what's wrong. I think it's probably gonna be an easy solution. Hopefully they solved it, because otherwise,
I do see merit in this being a stylistic.
I mean, yeah, there is a stylistic, but come on, it's just some uncanny valley.
Totally get it.
There's some uncanny valley that's like I'm not a developer, so I have no idea. But I've played a lot of games. I've played a lot of games, and there's just something off in those faces on the character faces.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So I do think a part of this also has to do with the inexperience of the team.
I mean, textures inexperience. That's weird. Like if you go to Mac today, they'll teach you about. I don't want to say.
No, this is the inexperience as in at higher textures. It could be that the performance was taking a dip.
Okay.
Right. So they might have taken a compromise. Let's lower the texture so that at least performance is working properly.
Okay.
Right. Because from gameplay elements, they're introducing a lot of things which is pretty inspiration. They're not half-assing this.
Yeah.
Let's be very clear. Yeah. Right. They're introducing mechanics which has standard for your hack and slash kind of games now, in the same way how Resident Evil 2
targeting and stuff.
Mechanics from further games down the line. Environments look beautiful.
Certain models also look good. Like if this model of Prince when he attacks, right, that looks amazing. But some parts does not look. I just don't know. I don't know what's it. There's rumors that this was a pre-alpha build, and so
It says alpha on
it
the
says
video.
alpha, but this says that the models are not. It's not updated to the current.
No, I think if it's alpha, I think it is bad move on Ubisoft's part to show this.
Yeah, I mean,
You want to show more finished product.
I mean, it would have been better if Ubisoft just showed a hint, and then when it's created properly, they can just show more. But I guess one of the things that Ubisoft is looking for pre-orders, which is one of the things I want to talk about, which we did not discuss in the last 30 minutes. But yeah,
We started discussing.
we started discussing, but it didn't go to that point. Yeah, this is, I think, where the movies were inspired from. Like, where.
No.
What is the movie actor name? Jake Gyllenhaal comes in.
Jake
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal.
I wish the
Which
movies
is
had a sequel.
Which is a waste of his talents.
No, I liked Prince of Persia movie. What are you
I
saying?
like the movie, but it wasn't exactly the way
You're never gonna make me believe that Jake Gyllenhaal was a Persian, though.
Yeah, I mean that's for sure. But I mean it was a nice movie. I would have liked a sequel. I don't like how Ubisoft does these one-off movies and they're like, no sequel. Enjoy
It
it.
didn't perform properly. That's the thing.
See,
Yeah. Look at this
I think-
gameplay, right? It looks very nice in certain angles.
And it does go well in motion. It's only
Yeah.
when you stop and you focus on the textures, you're like, that's off.
Yeah.
Because even the character models look very good,
Yeah.
right?
This is the only part where I thought it's like they could have done it better, where the prince jumps, and I remember this attack, but it just looks
they've
funny,
repeated
man.
the same animation
Just
for
look at
all
this,
the-
look at this. He jumps and then just dashes and like.
It's the same animation.
Yeah, it's the
if you
same
see.
animation from the original game, but yeah, I
No,
guess
they're
they're-
literally repeating the same animation.
same animation for each enemy.
this is the this
But
is
what
the
I-
this is the scene I was talking about where they look like Barbie dolls.
People, oh my god, they couldn't even get sweat.
Yeah, I mean I don't know what's going on here. I honestly don't. This
that looks
doesn't.
like a lot
Look
of
at the neck.
volume sweat.
Look at the neck, right?
Get it?
It's not properly done textures. I feel this is something that they can definitely improve on.
See, for
Like-
for Sands of Time, what I would have done as as a part of the studio or anything, like I would have actually gone ahead and asked Ubisoft to bring in the original game designer who was Jordan McNair, if I remember. Like
I have no idea.
you should like Jordan McNair was like he created the old Prince of Persia games that were on like Mac OS or whatever, but like yeah, he started like Sands of Time, like the original game. He was the designer and the writer of the entire game. And Warrior Within, continuing from this, Warrior Within had a different approach and a different tone entirely because the game designer was different. So
If you see Sands of Time, it has a more artistically, it is a little more whimsical. It has much more.
yeah, it's
closer to
very mystical.
Aladdin and
Yeah.
you know your.
It's completely. I think Jordan McNair even like you get those kind of developer kind of cuts or anything like those through gameplay. You would unlock those developer cuts and developer commentaries. If you hear those, you can actually see that like yeah, we took inspirations from Aladdin and the Arabian Nights and all the entire like Arabian mythology and mixed it with like Indian mythology because like for people who don't know, Farah and the Maharaja, they are actually Indians. So
Right.
this
Yeah.
story is
Anyway.
has connections to India.
Connections to India being like fine. I mean the game is not looking bad to be honest. Just like small things that yeah.
For me, the thing is, call it bias or a little bit, but it's like I'm looking this more like a grooming exercise, and I'm looking at a longer picture here, right?
Mhm.
The thing is, India has talented people, but there are very few who have worked on AAA titles, right? And I'm seeing this as a more grooming exercise because if this remake is successful, they work on Warrior Within, and then they work on Two Thrones. And if I'm interested to see in the growth of the studio as those things progress, and eventually if they get their own Prince of Persia new title, right?
Uh-huh.
Will they be ready?
Or a
And-
similar kind of theme,
right?
whatever.
Because by that time they will pull in more resources, will work on this, and they'll be able to grow a proper hierarchy where they can mentor people, and that's just going to bode nothing but good things for us. So I'm looking at this more as a long term thing on how this would pan out.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
and just before I want to end this podcast, I want to also point out something very important. I think people are forgetting the fact that it's still Ubisoft and they're being too optimistic. If you guys log in to see my screen share, you will understand that there's some very, very interesting things that are locked behind pre-order bonus, including the classic filter and the original weapon set from the original game. Like there are 6 original weapon sets of weapons from the game, which is available in the screen on front of you guys. These are all locked behind the original character model from Prince of Persia, locked behind pre-order bonus. A classic filter through which you can play the original game, technically speaking, with like the all of this locked behind the game. Locked behind pre-order.
Are they making the game legitimately look like shit so you'd get for that extra order to make
No. The thing is, the classic filter is basically what makes it look like the original Sands of Time game, right? And this is something you would think you don't want to have behind a pre-order
You don't want that.
bonus. You don't want to have your classic character model behind a pre-order bonus. You don't. This is a classic weapon set. Just give some random weapon set. Why are you giving the classic weapon? Oh my god, I have no idea, Ubisoft. Why are you guys like this?
And it costs $40.
Yeah.
Like
$40, whatever. But I have no idea why Ubisoft does these things. I hope there's no in-game microtransactions.
This pricing didn't even make sense to me when I first heard it. Like $40?
I mean, the $40 price tag actually goes back to the fact of what I told you with it. For Ubisoft, this is not a AAA game. This is below that, right? If it was a AAA title, if they saw it as a AAA title, they would term it as a $60 game. So they knew themselves this is not
Probably give it to a more experienced studio.
Yeah. So they, for themselves as well, they saw it as like a, not a AAA title, but something that still they wanted to give a lot of love and passion to the project. They gave it to the Indian developers.
I think they're testing waters.
So what I want to tell you is like Prince of Persia is popular and it's pretty well preserved, but its popularity is a bit more in India than in other games. Where in other games it's a popular, but it is among a wide selection. It does not hold the same position that it does in India, right? In India, it's pretty much like the Mario, right? The 2D Prince of Persia was in almost every computer, right?
Yeah. I think how a lot of people, how they had Dave installed outside abroad. I think Prince of Persia was that for Indians. A lot of people growing up.
So it makes sense that they also gave it to an Indian studio.
Yeah. I don't know if they knew this. I don't know if it's like a well-researched.
I think they knew.
I think they did.
Maybe.
Probably, I think somebody pitched it from.
But I think Ubisoft and Pune in fact pitched it. They're like, we want to make this game.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to make this game. We're like, everyone likes it in India.
Very passionate about this.
Yeah. So yeah, and the people working it. If you saw the original video, they were very hyped. They're like, oh my god, Prince of Persia.
My relationship with this is, it's like you have a very close friend and he's gone and joined the Cobra Kai dojo, like. And Cobra Kai Dojo has a legacy of being absolute trash, but it's still your friend there, right? So you'll be rooting for that person. So that's me with this game.
Yeah. I will probably buy it day one. Again, I'm biased. It's Prince of Persia. It's Indian studio. Why wouldn't I buy it? So yeah, let's see. Anything? I think that's about it for the day. I don't want to extend the podcast again because I'm having a terrible time with my internet, and this podcast was a lot of like work this time today. But I just wanted to end it with some thoughts, which is, if you guys have some comments, people who are watching this in the internet, put your comments down. We want to do like an audience section in the beginning of the podcast where we address your comments from the previous video in the current video, and maybe if you guys want to talk to us about a particular topic, or you want us to talk about something that's happened in the industry, or you want to give us corrections about our own podcast and we want to give us feedback, put it in the comment section. We will address it in the starting of the video. We can't promise to attend to all the comments, but we will try to address as many of them as possible. And yeah, and we'll probably, because we changed our recording and all of this method, we are doing it overall in OBS now. I think it's discussed somewhere in the podcast. So yeah, we did like we're doing it on OBS now. This podcast will probably come out earlier, and we'll probably also have a 10-minute highlight around it. So yeah, that. Anyone has to add anything?
Nah, man, I'm just happy this.
Yeah, I'm just happy this ended because like I'm just like
Glad that
recorded.
You have no idea how much we've been struggling and since when we've been trying to.
Yeah. I recorded approximately 2.5 hours of this podcast today, but I can tell you this podcast entirely will probably be 1.5 hours because there's 1 hour of junk over there
Right.
because I'm disconnecting and all of that. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Do share it. Do give a comments. And we saw a lot of views last time, 280 views. Incredible. Please drop the like button. Like press the like button. Press the like button. Press the dislike button if you don't like it. Whatever helps. Engagement comes in various ways.
Every time you press a like, Arnab and Aman will actually eat some food.
I eat more than Aman. That's not even.
Yeah. He just takes a lot of drugs. That's why he's like this. But yeah. Anyway. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for joining us. Drop a comment. Press the like button. Share this with your friends. Let us know what you think. Bye bye.